Revealed. Heartwarming transformation of a 3-month-old puppy mocked for not affording samosas. In the heart of a bustling suburban neighborhood, a scruffy little puppy named Charlie looked out at the world through big, hopeful eyes. He was only 3 months old, but the teasing from the local dogs was hard for a small pup to bear. "Look at Charlie, the Samosas pup." They would bark, their laughter ringing in the air like a bitter wind. Charlie didn't understand why he couldn't join them at the corner store, munching on the revered samosas that all the other dogs adored. But Charlie had something special in his little life. Maya. She was 12 and filled with ambition. Every day after school, Maya worked in their family's food truck, doing everything from flipping burgers to serving hot fries, all with a smile. They had their struggles and the food truck business was tough, especially during hard times. Yet in every sizzling fry, there was warmth and love, a dedication to make it better for her family. One day, while inhaling the smells that wafted from neighbors' kitchens, Maya overheard a group of well-off dogs plotting a samosa party. Her heart raced with hurt and frustration. How could they exclude Charlie? He was just as lovable, maybe even more so. That moment sparked something fierce within her. She refused to let her puppy feel left out anymore. Boldly, she hatched a plan for a grand talent show, hoping to showcase Charlie's unique charm and make room for him in their hearts. As Maya began to prepare, excitement danced in the air. But soon, she faced skepticism from the dog community. "What can that scruffy pup bring to the table?" they whispered. Tension spilled over, and doubts brewed like dark clouds overshadowing her hopes. The neighbors began to question Maya. Who did she think she was? Did she really believe a small pup like Charlie could bridge their divide? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Then came the moment of greatest impact. Maya stumbled on an old family photo, revealing a painful truth about how her family had come to own the food truck. It shattered her confidence. Who were they to compete? Were they worthy of the community's respect when they had faced prejudice themselves? The doubts twisted inside her like a storm, making the path to acceptance and belonging feel even more fragile. As Charlie nuzzled up beside her, wide-eyed and trusting, they both faced a tempest of emotions. Would they find the courage to face the judgments of their peers? Could true friendship and acceptance really flourish against a tide of divisions? The sun began to set on the horizon, casting long shadows, the day of the talent show looming ahead, leaving the fate of their community hanging in the balance. Would they shine through or fade away? The day of the talent show dawned bright and hopeful. Maya woke up early, heart pounding with a mix of excitement and dread. She could hear her parents chatting softly in the small kitchen of their food truck, the familiar sounds of breakfast filling the air. But this morning felt different. Today was a chance to change everything for Charlie and herself. As Maya prepared, she meticulously checked everything off her list. Posters she had drawn with shaky hands decorated the walls, announcing the day's event to the neighbors. With each stroke of her marker, she poured hope into the colorful designs. "Charlie's got talent," shouted one poster, with Charlie's goofy face drawn in the center. But as she peeked at the other dog posters that were already going up across the street, polished, flashy, and slick, her confidence wavered. "Will they even notice us?" she mumbled to herself, biting her lip. Charlie sensed her uncertainty. He nudged her leg with his tiny nose, offering a warm, sticky kiss. His presence ignited a spark within her. How could anyone judge him by his scruffy appearance? The bond they shared was beyond what any costume or coveted treat could bring. She looked into his soulful eyes and suddenly, her fears felt smaller. They were fighting for more than just acceptance. They were fighting for belonging. Their part of the neighborhood park was buzzing with chatter as dogs of all breeds and sizes gathered. Some were preening, their owners fussing over their shiny coats and fancy outfits. Maya took a deep breath. This was their moment. She gathered Charlie in her arms and approached the stage. As they stepped into the limelight, nervousness fluttered in her stomach. The whispers surrounding them felt sharper, cutting through the air like icy wind. What can they possibly do? Someone scoffed and laughter rippled through the throng. Her heart sank. But before she could retreat, a gentle voice echoed beside her. You got this, Maya. It was Mrs. Lottie, their elderly neighbor, who had long been an advocate for her family. Just show them how special Charlie is. Maya nodded, encouraged by Lottie's faith. When the moment arrived, she held the microphone and cleared her throat. The crowd quieted down reluctantly. Today we want to show that it doesn't matter what you have or don't have. It's about what you bring from your heart. Everyone stared, some with skepticism, others with mild interest. She felt Charlie squirm in her arms, and she placed him gently on the ground. Charlie, show them what you've got. Charlie bounced up, tail wagging furiously. He began to weave through obstacles that Maya had set up. He stumbled but quickly got back up again, filled with determination. The crowd shifted. A few dogs in the back stopped chatting. Their eyes glowed with curiosity. In the next moments, Charlie transformed the stage into his canvas. He danced on his tiny legs, playfully pawing at scattered samosas Maya had brought along. To her utter amazement, laughter filled the air, not ridicule, but joy. The sound swept through the park, warming her heart as he performed. Maya felt weight lift off her shoulders. With every wobble, every sniff of the samosas, she could sense the tide shifting. The community was engaging, and acceptance was within reach. But then, just as she thought victory was looming, a shadow fell across the stage. A huge, imposing Doberman named Duke stepped forward, his polished coat glistening in the sunlight. What is this? He barked, his voice low and challenging. Maya's heart raced again. Would he shut them down? Would he destroy the moment? What can scruffy Charlie possibly teach us? Maya took a deep breath, her mind racing. Could she turn this moment around? The answer was clear now. She had to believe in their bond, even against the odds. As Charlie turned and waited, tail wagging and eyes bright, she knew the journey was only beginning. Come on, Charlie, she urged, her voice loud and steady. What would happen next? Could they truly overcome prejudice and unite their community, or would Duke's sneer usher in a new wave of division? The murmurs spread through the audience like wildfire. Uncertainty hung thick in the air as Maya stood there, Charlie waiting eagerly beside her. She felt small, overwhelmed by the sheer size of the challenge before her. Duke, with his fierce demeanor, seemed to suck all the joy out of the moment. But then, in a single heartbeat, something inside Maya shifted. Charlie may not wear a shiny coat or boast fancy tricks, she began, meeting Duke's unimpressed glare head-on. But he carries a heart full of love and laughter. Isn't that what really matters? The crowd seemed to lean in, curious at her unexpected strength. Charlie wagged his tail again, as if he understood the words pouring from her heart. Maya decided to take a risk. Charlie, let us show them what you can do. She clapped her hands and beckoned him over. Let us see some of those silly spins. As if he understood her excitement, Charlie bounded forward in joyful leaps. He twirled in circles, his scruffy fur bouncing with every enthusiastic movement. The laughter grew louder. People began to clap, the rhythm echoing through the park. Look, she called out, pointing at him. He may not look perfect, but watch how he lifts spirits. Charlie paused, then tossed his tiny paw in the air as if waving at the audience. The crowd erupted into cheers, bringing a smile to Maya's face. She had everyone on her side, at least for now. Still, Duke remained unfazed. It's just a silly dog, he barked, crossing his powerful legs and glaring down. A few other dogs snickered, though not as many as before. Ignoring him, Maya forged ahead. Not just any silly dog. He is Charlie. And while he might not be a champion bred for shows, he knows how to bring joy, and that's worth far more. Her words struck a chord, and she could see hesitant expressions shifting towards compassion, even curiosity. The crowd began to clap louder, rallying behind her. Let us give him some room, someone shouted from the back. Wordlessly, the crowd parted, giving Charlie space to showcase his playful nature. Maya took a deep breath. Charlie, show them your favorite, the noodle dance. With that, she started swaying her hips, invoking a silly dance that Charlie knew all too well. With the beat of the applause, Charlie mimicked her, his little body wiggling in rhythm. The audience couldn't hold back any longer. Laughter erupted, breaking the tension like a dam bursting. Maya felt liberated. It wasn't about fancy tricks. It was about connection and joy. The spontaneous warmth of the crowd filled her with courage. Even Duke seemed taken aback, though still maintaining his scowl. It's just a joke. But now it felt like he was talking more to himself than anyone else. Encouraged by the cheers, Maya started to include the crowd. Can you all sing with us? She invited. Charlie loves when you sing. The clapping turned to mass participation. People singing the jingle of a local favorite song. Charlie danced through the impromptu performance, bounding to the beat as if on cloud nine. Every wag of Charlie's tail felt like a triumph. They weren't just gathering attention, they were solidifying a bond within their community. She could practically feel the warmth of acceptance beginning to wash over the crowd. But what if Duke wasn't finished yet? Just when Maya thought she could breathe easier, he took a step forward, his expression unreadable. Okay, let us see if Scruffy Charlie can handle some real competition, he growled, gesturing towards the other dogs. Maya's heart sank again. The battle wasn't over. Did Duke really think he could challenge their spirit? Would they be ready to take on whatever Duke had planned next together? Maya's heart raced. Duke's challenge hung in the air like an ominous cloud, casting shadow over the joyful spirit they had built together. A wave of doubt washed over her. What could Charlie possibly do against dogs that had trained for years? But then her gaze fell on Charlie, his big, hopeful eyes sparkling with excitement, eager for whatever came next. Okay, Charlie, she whispered, bending down to give him a reassuring scratch behind the ears. You've got this. Duke sauntered over to the other dogs, snapping his fingers and calling out commands. They stood at attention, sleek and polished, ready to demonstrate whatever tricks they had up their sleeves. It was clear they were a different league. But amidst the glaring comparison, Maya felt something stirring within her, an unexpected surge of determination. Let us show them that happiness shines brighter than trophies, she declared, her voice steadying as she turned back to the audience. Charlie might not have fancy fur or impeccable pedigree, but he's got something special. The crowd murmured in agreement, a few excited cheers breaking through the apprehension. Suddenly, the atmosphere around Maya felt electric, like a spark igniting in the darkness. With a deep breath, she directed her attention back to Charlie. Let us go, buddy. Show them our secret move, the happy hop. As she began to bounce in an exaggerated, silly way, Charlie mirrored her, his tiny paws springing off the grass with abandon. Laughter erupted again, warm and inviting, weaving a thread of connection through the crowd. Even those who had once rolled their eyes at Charlie began to clap along, swaying to the rhythm of their infectious joy. Duke crossed his arms, visibly annoyed. This isn't a dog show, it's a circus, he muttered, though the laughter around him seemed to deflate his accusations. Maybe it's a circus of love. Maya shot back, her confidence surging. She turned to the audience, who's up for a little bit of fun. Can you all jump with us? The crowd jumped in unison, a chorus of laughter and joy. Adults, kids, everyone joined. Embodying the spirit of play she clung to with Charlie. Maya's heart soared, the energy around her pulsating with life, shining brightly against Duke and his crowd of polished competitors. Then, just as she thought things were going her way, she noticed Duke talking to the owner of the top show dog. They exchanged glances, and an unsettling feeling knotted in Maya's stomach. There was more to Duke's plan than mere competition. Let us see how Scruffy Charlie holds up against Max, Duke challenged, his dog's glossy coat gleaming in the sunlight. Max strutted forward like a king, prancing gracefully as if to mock Charlie's joyful antics. Fear seeped into Maya. Everyone was looking. What if we can't keep our spirit amidst this? She thought, glancing at Charlie. The warmth in his eyes pushed away her uncertainty. Okay, Charlie. It's us against the world. She clapped her hands together again, feeling fire in her veins. They would show them that love and laughter mattered more than perfection. But as she looked at Duke and Max, who prepared to strut their stuff with a perfectly orchestrated routine, Maya knew there was something more at stake. Could they really turn this moment of doubt into a showcase of acceptance? With a determined heart, she shouted louder. Who's ready to celebrate every bit of happiness? The crowd rallied, still unsure of the upcoming challenge, but an ember of hope flickered alive. And just then, from the corner of her eye, Maya noticed another puppy watching from the sidelines, this time alone, tail tucked low and expression filled with uncertainty. Wait, what if they feel the same way I did? Maya thought, suddenly realizing this could be Jenna's moment too. Maya's heart skipped a beat as she took in the sight of the timid puppy, its small body trembling with uncertainty. It was as if the little creature echoed her own anxiety from earlier, a reflection of every self-doubting moment she had faced. She felt an urge to reach out, to make the puppy feel seen, just like she had done for Charlie. "Hey there, little one," Maya called softly, her voice warm and inviting. The puppy glanced up, its big brown eyes wide and uncertain. Maya could sense its longing for connection, just as much as Charlie had. "Do you want to join us?" she asked, crouching down to the puppy's level. "We could use a friend." The crowd noticed her interaction. A few gasps floated through the air, followed by whispers of encouragement. The tension shifted, and for a moment the competition faded. It became less about showmanship and more about unity. "Come on, sweetheart," Maya encouraged, motioning with her hands. "It's all about fun and being together." After a long moment, the puppy took a hesitant step forward, its tail beginning to wag, though still low. Encouraged, Maya stood and turned towards everyone. "We're starting a new dance. Let us make it a team effort." Charlie bounded happily beside her, barking excitedly, as she swayed back and forth. The playful atmosphere spread like wildfire, and the crowd began to clap along to the rhythm she created. Duke frowned, his disappointment palpable as he realized his chance to show off Max was slipping. His prestige, built on competition alone, was unraveling in a tide of warmth and camaraderie. Maya took a deep breath and said to the crowd, "Let me introduce you to our newest member." She bent down again, gently petting the puppy, who was now stepping cautiously closer. "This playful spirit deserves to shine just like Charlie." As if sensing the approval, the puppy relaxed, its tail now wagging fiercely, and it joined in with excited little hops. Laughter erupted again, filling the air with joy. "Let us show them what happiness looks like," Maya cried out. "No one should feel alone today, we celebrate together." Suddenly, a little girl in the front row cheered, jumping in delight. "You can do it, puppy," she shouted. More voices joined in, and a heartbeat of support boomed through the crowd. Duke, watching from afar, clenched his fists. His polished approach was faltering against the raw authenticity Maya brought forth. But she didn't care about winning ribbons or accolades anymore. She thrived on the transformation happening before her. As the puppy joined in the dancing, Maya felt a profound realization wash over her. She wasn't just fighting for Charlie. She was championing for every underdog, every forgotten soul who deserved a second glance and an ounce of love. And then she turned to Duke. "You know what?" she said, shouting across the grassy field. "There's enough room in this world for us all. It's about joy, not perfection." But Duke simply shook his head, his composure slipping away as he stared in disbelief. Maya felt the warmth of the crowd beside her. They were united, pulsating with energy, and for the first time, she didn't feel the weight of competition pressing on her as the puppy hopped alongside Charlie. With hearts bursting and laughter in full bloom, Maya knew they were creating something bigger than a mere challenge. And then the puppy turned its soulful gaze toward her and barked, a sound of pure joy echoing through the air. With a smile, Maya scooped the puppy up in her arms. "Looks like we found a champion in each other," she whispered, and then called to the crowd, "Who's ready to join us?" Just then Duke stomped forward, his face flushed with frustration as he declared, "Enough of this nonsense. It's time for real competition." Maya's heart stuttered, and she felt the looming threat of a storm amidst the sunshine. What would Duke do next? Would her newfound joy hold strong against his relentless pursuit for glory? Maya felt a chill as Duke's words cut through the atmosphere. The vibrant energy she built hung precariously in the air, and for a moment, it felt like all the laughter and joy could simply evaporate. She held the puppy tighter, feeling its small heart beat rapidly against her chest. "Duke, there's more to this than just winning," she said, her voice steady but softening, wanting to reach him. "It's about kindness and how we treat each other." He crossed his arms, his jaw clenched. "And what does that have to do with a competition? This is about showing who's the best. If you think a little fun can replace excellence, you're mistaken." The crowd shifted awkwardly, glancing between Duke and Maya. Some seemed ready to rally behind her, but the lingering haze of competition hung, a remnant of old habits that wouldn't easily fade. "Real competition?" Maya challenged, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and courage. Isn't that what's kept us from seeing each other? This puppy, she gestured toward the small creature in her arms, who yipped in cheerful agreement, deserves every bit of joy we can give, just as much as every other entry here. Duke scowled, but for a brief moment, uncertainty flickered across his face. Before he could respond, the little girl who had cheered for the puppy earlier stepped forward, her bright eyes pleading. "We want to see happy dogs. This one is the best." The crowd erupted in murmurs of support, a few clapping their hands lightly. Maya's heart swelled, drawing strength from their hopeful expressions. She turned back to Duke. Why not let this be a celebration? A chance to see what joy looks like instead of just what winners look like. Winners compete. The rest are just distractions, Duke countered. But his voice was wavering now, showing cracks in his formerly unyielding facade. Maybe the distractions are what we truly need, Maya replied, taking a step closer. To remind us we're all here together. Isn't that what life should be about? As the puppy nestled comfortably against her, she felt a bond form not just with it, but with everyone who had come to support them. Each wag from Charlie, each bark from the newcomer echoed the message. Unity. Just think, she continued. If we could all embrace the spirit of companionship over competition, imagine how much joy we could share. Duke didn't say a word, but the fire in his gaze seemed dimmer. Maya held her breath, hoping he would see the truth in her words. Just when it seemed Duke would relent, a harsh laugh erupted from further back in the crowd. It was Jake, one of Duke's friends, his voice dripping with sarcasm. What's your plan? Throw a puppy party? Pathetic. Maya felt her confidence waver but steadied herself. Turning back, she addressed the crowd. Let us show them. Let us share our joy. Dance with us, celebrate with us. The way we treat our pets is the way we treat one another. People nodded. Excited murmurs began to filter through the crowd again. Gradually, hands began to clap and feet started to shuffle. Duke's expression darkened as his friends hooted, but something shifted, something primal inside him, caught between pride and the growing momentum in the crowd. Maya started dancing again, this time encompassing everyone, just like she had done with Charlie and the little puppy. As more joined in, laughter blossomed, filling the air once more. Then Duke stepped forward, conflicted. The choice lay before him. Join in the joy or fight against the wave rising around him. Maya glanced at him, her heart lodged in her throat as she awaited his decision. This could be the turning point they all needed. Would he stand alone in his defiance or step into the happiness enveloping them? The air was still charged with uncertainty, every breath hanging under the weight of expectation as the crowd cheered for unity. What would Duke choose? Would he finally see the light or retreat into darkness? The moment stretched taut, and Maya could only hold her breath in anticipation. Duke shifted, a storm of emotions swirling in his eyes. The laughter rang around him like bells, each note a suggestion, a plea to join them. But the weight of his past hung heavy. It whispered that vulnerability was a weakness. The crowd began to dance, joyful shouts echoing above the music. Maya could feel the heartbeat of the moment, a collective pulse of unity. She smiled at the little girl, who jumped with enthusiasm, her curls bouncing like the very spirit they were celebrating. Each movement reminded Maya of the connection they all shared. Duke hesitated, his fists tightening into balls at his sides. He flicked a glance at Jake. His friend scoffed, arms crossed over his chest, likely stirring the doubts in Duke's mind. "See, mon man, you're actually going to let her get to you?" He hissed, his tone laced with mockery, but the defiant growl of Maya's puppy cut through the chatter. Charlie, sensing the tension, pawed at Maya's leg as if to urge Duke onward, inviting him to join this moment of unexpected joy. Maya's heart leaped at the puppy's sweet encouragement. "Look at him, Duke," she called, her voice a clear note amid the growing celebration. "This little guy isn't about winning. He's here to love. Look at how everyone is smiling." Duke's brow furrowed deeper, conflicted. Anger? Resentment? Or was it confusion? The struggle played out on his face like a drama, raw and unresolved. He had spent so long proving himself, had draped his identity in armor forged from competition. The thought of surrendering to something softer felt terrifying. Maya saw the crumbling walls in his demeanor, and her own fear began to fade. "You don't have to fight against us. You can be part of this too," she encouraged, stepping closer, the energy between them shimmering with hope. It's not weakness. It's humanity. We all want connection. Even you do. For a moment silence took hold. The music played on, a gentle backdrop to this standoff. Duke's shoulders eased slightly, easing the tension that had built so high. There was something in Maya's voice, a tremendous pull of understanding that made him hesitate. Then came a single clap, loud and clear, echoing in the still air. One child, emboldened by the moment, took a brave step forward and clapped again, sparking a ripple of applause. It washed through the crowd, morphing their uncertainty into encouragement. Maya stepped back and let the applause build, creating a safe space for Duke to make his choice. Every clapping hand was a beacon, pulling him away from the darkness that had so long defined him. Duke's gaze eventually landed on Maya, her bright eyes shining with optimism. The shift in his expression was subtle but unveiled something deeper. With a deep breath, he let it out slowly, as if releasing an internal struggle. In an instant it hit him. Connection wasn't about dominance, it's about joining in, lifting one another up. The shackles of pride loosened just enough to free a hesitant smile. Just then, a bark erupted from Charlie, snapping Duke from his reverie. It was as if the puppy, sensing the change, was encouraging him to step forward. Slowly Duke raised his arms, the tension beginning to ebb, and he wandered into the joyful chaos surrounding him. Cheers erupted, the crowd confident in their embrace. It was a tremor at first, a delicate beginning to the shift, but a shift nonetheless. Maya's heart soared, full of hope. She hadn't expected Duke to join, wasn't sure he could take that leap. But as he moved closer, a palpable buzz of excitement coursed through the air. As he danced awkwardly at first but with growing confidence, a shockwave of joy pulsed through the crowd. They welcomed him, enveloped him in laughter, and Duke found himself shaking off the last chains of his old mindset, letting the spirit of compassion and joy wash over him. But still lurking in the shadows was Jake, fists still clasped and scorn written across his face. Watching. Waiting. As Duke spun and laughed, Maya's chest tightened. Would Jake break this moment? Would he tear at the blossoming thread of joy? No one had noticed him yet, but what was his next move? Duke felt a warmth wrap around him as the music swelled, blending with the laughter of the crowd. His heart raced, pounding like a drum that matched the rhythm of the song. Each movement he made, awkward yet freeing, chipped away at the hard surface he had built up over the years. He twirled and stumbled, but the smiles from the crowd buoyed him. Their joy washed over him like a soft wave, and for the first time in what felt like ages, he felt himself truly begin to smile. Maya stood nearby, watching him with an expression of pure delight. She had believed in him, in this moment of connection when he had doubted himself. It was infectious, feeling that energy radiate from her. He looked at her with genuine admiration. I can do this, he thought, almost surprised at his own thoughts. I don't have to fight this feeling. Yet, out in the corner of his eye there was still Jake, the cynic, the anchor that kept him tied to his past. Duke could sense the weight of Jake's gaze like a shadow trailing behind him. The laughter felt lighter, but in that moment, it twisted, heavy with uncertainty. Would Jake lash out? Would he ruin what they had begun to build here? The applause died down, but the joyful dance continued. People spun and flowed like a living organism, and Duke hesitated again. The warmth in his chest began to cool, uncertainty creeping back in. You never fit in, Duke, Jake finally barked. His voice sliced through the music like a cold wind, pulling Duke sharply back to his fears. Look at you. Just another clown entertaining the masses. Duke's smile faltered, the confidence fading. Jake's words twisted in his gut, igniting old insecurities. He scanned the faces around him, laughter overshadowed by a thin veil of unease. Am I just a joke? He thought, the harshness of the question leaving him breathless. Maya stepped forward, her voice steady and strong. Jake, this isn't the time. He's trying, can't you see that? But Jake just leaned back, crossing his arms tighter and smirking. Trying? This is pathetic. Look at how he's dancing. He's just acting like a fool. The bright colors of the moment dimmed somehow under Jake's taunts, and Duke felt the warmth he had begun to embrace flicker like a candle caught in a draft. Duke returned his gaze to Maya, who stood her ground defiantly. Her eyes echoed encouragement. And there it was again, that flicker of freedom, eager to break free from the chains of judgment. Why do I care what he thinks? Duke wondered. Stray doubts danced through his head, but something in him pushed back. He could feel the resilience of the crowd, the pulse of joyful hearts rising with him. This couldn't be taken away so easily. Closing his eyes, Duke inhaled deeply, filling his lungs with courage. I won't let Jake take this from me. He looked out again, this time beyond Jake, seeing the little girl still dancing. Charlie the puppy almost prancing around, also carefree and full of life. Duke raised his chin and danced, allowing himself to drown out the voice of judgment. With each step he felt lighter. He swayed with the music, letting it guide him as he opened his arms wide, inviting the joy back in. Laughter erupted anew. He was embraced by cheers, laughter rising higher than before. Maya clapped her hands, joining him in the dance, radiating support. The crowd responded, enveloping him, creating a circle around Duke that felt like family. Each soul was a strand woven into the fabric of this moment. But just as Duke felt himself rise, he caught Jake's eyes again. There was anger there, simmering just below the surface, but more than that, was it fear? Was his own friend scared of losing the Duke he once knew? Duke's heart raced. Jake was not through with him yet. This wasn't over. An unsettled feeling crept into the joyous atmosphere as Duke realized the true battle was yet to come. What would Jake do next? Would his words unleash a storm that would drown this moment? Or could they somehow turn this chaos into understanding? Duke continued to sway with the rhythm, surrounded by cheering faces, but the exhilaration was tinged with anxiety. Each repetition of Jake's harsh words echoed in the back of his mind, a reminder that his joy was still under threat. In that moment of elation, he felt the delicate threads of confidence fray just a little. Could he really break free from Jake's grip? Maya danced closer, her movements mirroring his, trying to merge their energies into something powerful. You've got this, Duke, she called out, her voice bright with encouragement. Just keep dancing. But Duke's eyes drifted back to Jake, whose smirk seemed more of a menace now. The crowd shrank in his perception and he felt exposed. This isn't just dancing for me, Duke thought, his pulse quickening. It's everything. Suddenly things shifted. One of the dancers nearby fell, laughing uncontrollably in a tumble of limbs. The nearby crowd erupted into genuine laughter, turning to assist the person up, as if to say that laughter was contagious, an invitation to play. Duke felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe it was okay to be knocked down, sometimes it was part of the dance. A moment of honesty stirred inside him, and he turned back to Maya, who wore a smile that sparkled like 1,000 little stars. This was about more than just showing off moves, it was about connection, about community. Just be you, Duke, Maya urged again. Her words washed over him like sunlight breaking through clouds, nurturing the seed of courage within him. He took a step back from the crowd, breathing deep. With every inhalation, he felt the doubts dissipate, just like that little girl twirling like a dervish, with nothing to lose and only joy to gain. Duke grinned, a mischievous sparkle lighting up his eyes. Let us show Jake what this really is, he thought. Driven by a spark of playful rebellion, he leaped forward. If I'm a clown, he called out to the crowd, then I'll be the silliest clown you've ever seen. Laughter erupted anew as he flung his arms wide, exaggerating his movements with wild spins and outlandish poses. Duke turned to see the crowd mirror him, laughter bouncing between them, and with that joy, he turned back toward Jake, determination surging. I refuse to let you define me. Jake's expression flickered. Was that a flash of confusion? Conflicted thoughts chased across his face, and for a moment, he seemed to lose his footing, not just in the physical sense. You're still a joke, Duke, he shouted, but the words sounded weaker, as if echoing off the walls of his own uncertainty. Maya, Duke called out, and she rushed to his side, clapping with every beat of music. Let us give this crowd a real show. They took over the space, spiraling through the gathering, inviting people to join. One by one, friends, strangers, and even the hesitant Jake began to loosen up, catching the joy that filled the air. Laughter flowed freely now, filling the spaces that had once been tainted with spite. Watching, Duke could sense a shift. Perhaps this was the beginning of something new, not just for him, but for Jake as well. Together they danced and laughed, a swirling storm of colors and music, re-establishing the true meaning of community. Yet, as Duke's spirit soared, he caught Jake wavering at the edge of the crowd, an unsettled storm brewing in those scrutinizing eyes. What would Jake do next? Would he fight back, or could he too be pulled into the vibrant embrace of connection? The moment hung in the air, breaths held between laughter and tension. Duke spun, letting the music pulse through him. Each twirl, every silly pose, was a defiance of the skepticism still lingering in Jake's gaze. He was no longer just a dog desperate for acceptance. He was a beacon, a symbol of resilience. As they danced, Maya caught the eyes of those around her, their faces bright with newfound joy. She could feel the shift, a collective understanding blossoming, watering the seeds of friendship that had been buried in doubt. They weren't just dancing, they were celebrating acceptance, proving that love could shine brighter than competition. Jake stood at the edge, his arms crossed, the war raging within him. Duke's laughter echoed in his ears, the rhythm of community beckoning him closer. What could he do? What words could he craft to break this spell of unity? But the voices around him rose higher, warmth enveloping the space, weaving a tapestry of connection that seemingly disallowed judgment. "Maya's right," shouted a familiar neighbor whose dog often played with Charlie. "Let us see how we can all have fun. We can rearrange this competition into what it truly means." Cheers erupted at that proclamation, resounding echoes of agreement washing over Jake, momentarily distracting him. Duke's heart raced. Was it really possible for Jake to step into this new reality? "Come on, Jake," he called out, his voice booming with confidence, inviting yet challenging. "You can join us too, you know." The laughter turned to glances, each moment now tense with anticipation. Would Jake break through the chains of his past? Maya stepped closer to Jake, her gentle expression a lighthouse guiding him through the fog of uncertainty. "You don't have to feel alone, Jake. There's room for everyone at this celebration. Come and see what we can create together." Slowly, almost reluctantly, Jake unfolded his arms. Faces brightened around him, igniting sparks of courage within him. With a deep breath, he took a step forward. This small action felt monumental. The crowd leaned in, hope hanging thick in the air, tightly woven into every bark and laugh that erupted around them. As if on cue, the music swelled, expansive and inviting, a call for everyone to join. And with a swift movement, Duke spun to face Jake, extending a paw in a gesture of friendship, a commitment to stand side by side as partners. "Let us dance, Jake." Now there was no turning back, no time for hesitation. Jake's heart beat rapidly, hope and fear mingling as he weighed his options. Suddenly that spark ignited a flame. "All right, why not?" he said, a tentative grin tugging at the corners of his mouth. Cheers erupted as he moved into the center, joining Duke and Maya, his friends, each step echoing the promise of what was possible when everyone united for a common purpose. The crowd began to create space, forming a circle around the trio, inviting laughter, clapping, and music to soar. As Duke and Jake found their rhythm, moving side by side like old friends, the air thickened with joy, filling the park with a contagious energy that stirred something deep inside everyone present. And that moment, it was more than a dance. It was liberation from resentment and prejudice. It was hope, woven beautifully into the fabric of their community. The fear that had once bound them dissipated, swallowed by the warmth of encouragement. Maya spun joyfully with Charlie at her side, their laughter weaving through the crowd like a thread through fabric. She caught sight of the little puppy, the one who had stood alone earlier, now nestled in the embrace of a child, tail wagging happily. And just like that, a new narrative emerged. They were not just a collection of individuals. They were a family, built on kindness and laughter. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the park, Duke turned to Jake, breathless but full of joy. "Look at what we've created together. Who would have thought?" Jake replied, his voice full of genuine surprise. They stood shoulder to shoulder, now not just friends but allies in a bigger, shared journey of acceptance and belonging. The evening ended not with trophies or accolades, but with something far more precious: unity, laughter, and the promise of many beautiful moments ahead. And in that park, surrounded by the playful bark of dogs and the sparkle of stars, they had transformed not just as individuals but as a community. As the final songs played and the crowd started to disperse, Maya looked at Charlie, whose eyes sparkled with excitement. They had faced their challenges and found joy on the other side, and for once they felt truly at home. And just like that, a new chapter began, one filled with love, laughter, and the understanding that every heart, every soul had something extraordinary to share. Now this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your engagement really makes a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.